Welcome to the New to Wrestling podcast, where I, your host, Xavier Cruz, a lifelong wrestling fan, will take a lifelong friend through the action, the joys, and the drama of the world of professional wrestling. My co-host, Kelsey Silva, has been bitten by the wrestling bug, and I want to invite you to join us as I take her through the moments that made me a fan. So if you're new to wrestling and would like to get brought up to speed, or a fan who would like to relive some classic matches, promos, and segments through fresh eyes, join us as we embark on a journey through the Attitude Era and beyond. Welcome to the New to Wrestling podcast. Hello, and welcome to another edition of the New to Wrestling podcast. This week, we watched the December 16th, 1996 edition of Monday Night Raw, and the match card is as follows. In our opener, we had Vader versus Stone Cold Steve Austin in a tough man contest. In our second match, we had Fake, Razor, and Diesel taking on the Godwins. In our third match, we had Doug Furnas versus Philip LaFawn taking on TL Hopper, the wrestling plumber, and the debuting Dr. X. And in our main event, we had Billy versus Bart Gunn, a grudge match. All right, let's get into it.
I mean,
This episode was wild. There was so many things that were just ancillary to any of the matches that it was just like hard to keep track of. Everyone was all over the place.
Yeah, there was a lot of hijinks, a lot of shenanigans,
a lot of hoodwinks,
tomfoolery,
all of it.
All interferences. It was like there was very few. There's I think only one match that was a bell-to-bell completed match. Like the rest was just absolute chaos on a stick.
100. Listen,
that's it.
They really unlocked their inner chaos demon and let it roam free. They let it like roam,
reckless abandon. It was pretty crazy.
Right, he took the wheel, not Jesus. So so the episode opens with a little impromptu interview from Bret Hart from Jim Ross. Jim Ross was real happy to take the mantle.
Loves it.
Basically, Bret Hart's music hits. Vince is a little confused. He's like, oh, like, what's going on now? And Jim's like, oh, I didn't tell you? Like, I had an interview. Like, oh my God.
Oh my God, it's Bret. Excuse me, guys. I gotta get up there and interview him.
100%. He is like the quintessential, like, he's not Regina George and he's not Gretchen Wieners, but he's definitely the other one.
Karen.
Just kind of there.
Yeah. Woo.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like just wants to stand close enough to the sun to feel warm.
Wow. Don't hold yourself back. Wow.
It's just how it feels.
I really feel.
He hasn't.
No, it's true.
He doesn't actually ask any questions of Bret Hart because Bret Hart doesn't give him the chance.
No, he doesn't even say, "Hey, Bret, how are you?" He just goes,
not even a greeting. Right. Well, he's just like, here's the microphone. And I was like, a stand does that. A stand could have done that.
Yeah, just leave the mic up there, actually. I think he can hold it himself instead of just Jim Ross's hand, Bret Hart lovingly caressing around it, holding the mic like this. Right. It's like, just leave the mic up there. He can do it. He's okay.
Good. You're not really a necessity to this, but sure.
But sure.
So Bret goes on to basically say, like, I don't want to make excuses, but I've got some excuses. So he did not capture the WWF Championship from Sycho Sid the night prior due to the involvement, or at least in part due to the involvement of Stone Cold Steve Austin intentionally and Shawn Michaels unintentionally. But basically, he's like, I'm calling all of you out. He's like, the WWF has been different since I left, and apparently there's no rules. And he goes, if that's the way it's going to be, fine. I don't need rules. If everyone's just going to show up everywhere, all up in my business, then I'm going to just make myself comfortable. And then he goes, I'm just going to have a little seat ski at the announce table. I'm going to relax. I'm going to be impartial. I'm going to call it right down the middle. And I would definitely never, ever get involved. So, and that's what he does. He goes and sits down and starts watching the match.
And Jim Ross, the way that Jim Ross clears his little seat for him.
So extra.
He's like, oh, like, Brad, like, you can sit in my seat, have my headphones, have my mic. Do you want to sit on me while you're at it? Like,
100%. Do you want me to chew your food for you? Like, Billy Bird it? Like, what do you need to do for this man? Like, he is a fully capable adult. Like, relax. The MVP of this episode, quite frankly, is the one woman in the crowd who was losing her mind the entire show. And I mean, from the time that Bret Hart's music stopped to the closing seconds of this show.
Of the match. Or the episode, yeah.
She was in it. She was vocal. She was participating.
Yeah, she was present and she was there. Like and Xavier, I think, because we were listening to Bret Hart's interview, and I was like trying to listen, and then I was like, who is screaming? Like this woman was screaming like the time of her life, and Xavier's like, she must be sitting like right behind the announce booth because like she's just like projecting into the mic because it was just so present. But then it was like
so consistent.
Like it was amazing. Xavier was like, I'm amazed she hasn't like lost her voice at this point. Like she's really going for it. Like she's a person that like got her money's worth. Like she bought her ticket, went to this match, and she was at that match, girl.
She was living. So the first match is Vader versus Stone Cold Steve Austin in a tough man contest, which they never explain.
What is that?
Not once. So it is somewhere between a regular match and a no disqualifications match, because
but not quite.
There are some things that the referee will allow that are not in the rules, but then other things that will not work, as we find out during this match.
It was a confusing ride.
If you're gonna give us a stipulation, you gotta tell us the rules. We gotta know what's going on. Like, if you're gonna try and be like, ooh, this is like, you're gonna give a match like a title, like a name ski, like I need a blurb. I need a bio.
Like the rules and regulations.
I need stage directions. Like, I don't know what's going on.
Yes, and like because especially after the last time they did this, it was like they talked about it, they put it on the screen, they like, these are the rules.
Right.
And it was like, okay, and then I didn't even realize this was a strongman match until I was like, at one point, Vader uses a chair on Stone Cold, and they're like, yeah, that's fine.
The referee's just gonna let it go. And we're like, okay, sure.
Since when? And I was like, oh, okay. This is something new. I don't know.
Honestly. So Bret gets into it immediately as he sits at the announce table with Jerry the King Lawler. Yeah. They already got beef. They have had a very long feud that pretty much ends with Bret Hart's foot in Jerry the King Lawler's mouth. They had a match,
like literally,
like a kiss your foot match, where essentially the loser had to kiss the other one's foot. But what ends up happening is basically Bret Hart just shoves his entire foot in like Jerry's mouth, like basically, as he's like just incapacitated as a result of like the match. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I
know. I know.
What do you mean? That is so crazy.
I know.
That's
and I'm
gonna look that up later. I have to see that.
You should. And honestly, look up just any stipulation matches, because they run the gambit. When I tell you, like, look up just item on a pole match, and you'll find 400 of them. 400 of them. So basically, there are these matches where the whole premise is that there is an item, usually a themed item based on the participants of the match, are on poles on either side of the ring, and your goal is to incapacitate your opponent so that you can go up and climb up the pole to retrieve whatever item it is that's on the line.
It's very Mulan. Do it.
It is very Mulan. I'll make a man.
Retrieve the arrow.
So, yeah. There's tons.
I say this all the time, but I just like, again, I would love to be a fly on the wall at those creative meetings.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm just, because again, I always envision that meme of Charlie and It's Always Sunny where he's like smoking a cigarette and it's the board and he's just like, okay, so what if at the end, foot in the mouth, toes on tongue, just
and there's literally like 12 yes men in the room, just like absolutely
yes, right. Write that down.
That's a great idea. Foot in mouth.
Secretary, just
Right.
And they're like, run it up the flagpole, literally. Then they
like, can I get the minutes back on that, please?
The
and he's
minutes.
Like, he said, foot in mouth.
Oh my god! Oh my god! That is so crazy.
Oh, it's absolutely insanity that the things that they let go on here.
Also here, but I know
Amen.
we're just at the precipice of like what's to come. I just don't know how much we can take.
Just buckle up.
We just started. All right.
So this match is insanely hard-hitting. This is not a scientific wrestling match by any stretch of the imagination. It is just two dudes beating
Smacking
the crap out of each other. There is one point where Stone Cold's really getting into it, and he knocks Vader, like punches Vader outside of the ring, and Vader starts like trying to just meander his way away, like take a breath, collect his thoughts, and Stone Cold's like, nah, I'm coming right for you. He jumps off of the ring apron, like throws his whole body onto Vader, and like
a spider monkey.
Oh, and just like does not stop.
Which, by the way, at the beginning of this match, either I think it was JR or Vince McMahon said that Stone Cold was there. Like, he's like, look at that guy, consummate professional, and we were like,
oh my god, and we were like,
who?
Where?
What do you mean? Because I think he said it about both Vader and he was like, those two men, those two guys up there, consummate professionals, and we were like,
what show have you been watching?
Swear to God, I was like, are we watching the same match? Cut to all of the ridiculous stuff that Stone Cold alone has done in the last
100%
weeks.
Breaking not even like Brian Pillman's home, beating up all of his friends, beating up that one like camera guy who was trying to throwing interview him that one time, showing up in Bret Hart's matches, showing up in the Bulldogs matches, like
double flipping people off. Taking out referees. Like, what are we talking? We cannot be talking about the same
consummate professional.
Consummate professional.
What do you have to do in the WWF to not be a professional? How low is that bar? How low is that bar?
Wow, I would love to know, because I just would love to see that. Because at this point, Stone Cold could legitimately take a dump on Vince McMahon's desk, and they'd be like, "Oh, consummate professional.
Oh, amazing!
What a sweetie!
That is the most professional dump I've ever seen."
Well done, beautiful. Anyway, oh my god,
so
what's it gonna take?
So, as was foreshadowed by Bret Hart's promo, he gets his little happy ass up from the announce desk and attacks Stone Cold while he's on the outside and puts him in the sharpshooter and just super aggressively. And then all of a sudden, now we get a disqualification because apparently that's too far.
Too far.
Chair to the face, too far. Countouts, doesn't
thrown
matter.
Over the barricade, hitting audience members. Nah, that's fine. They're tough. They're tough men.
Bret Hart gets involved. Disqualification. So Vader is big pissed about this because of Bret Hart. He gets disqualified. So he attacks Bret Hart, and then a slew of referees and backstage personnel show up to separate Vader from Bret Hart. All the while, Stone Cold Steve Austin is still laying on the ground, just like licking his wounds, which all of the referees are just focused on Vader and moving him out of the way, that Bret Hart just like saunters on back over and lays on the sharpshooter again. And this time he doesn't let go. He doesn't let go for anything.
No.
So once all of these stooges finally realize what's going on, they go to like try and get Bret off of Stone Cold, and they're like pulling his hair, they're like yanking at his arms, they're like doing whatever they got to do to try and get this man off, and he's unrelenting. He's just pissed, and he's gonna start showing up everywhere.
And like Stone Cold is just like holding the apron, just like holding it for dear life.
Right. Just
unrelenting sharpshooter.
Right. That was amazing. So and I love a little unhinged Bret Hart. Like lose your composure. That's
what I'm saying.
That's what I want.
And again, like you either die the hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And he's like, if you don't want to play by the rules, fine. There's no rules. And now I'm gonna be the bad guy. And like I love to see it. It's the same thing with like Shawn Michaels, where it's like he's always been like he's never been the guy to like just like show up at the ring and like be a little menace. But like you'll want to see him be a little menace. And it's the same with Bret Hart. Like when Bret Hart comes out and he's like, yeah, I'm not gonna interfere. I would never do that. And then he's like, I am, however, going to hit Stone Cold with a sharpshooter twice.
Right, 100%.
Sounds like fun.
Right. I was like, me?
Easy. I'd love to see it.
So after that match, we get a little replay from the night prior of the promo between Farouk and Ahmed Johnson, just to give us a little reminder that that match is upcoming at the Royal Rumble. And that is a grudge match we are just anticipating so hard.
Reaching for. I cannot wait.
Two men that need to punch each other in the face, it is those two. It is those two, and they need to do it repeatedly, and no one should stop them.
No, not at all. Not at all. I need to see that real bad.
So, the Royal Rumble. Next match, we have Fake Diesel and Razor Ramon taking on the Godwin brothers. And this is the one and only match that doesn't have any chicanery going on. It's just a pretty straightforward match. This match saw an absence, however. No Hillbilly Jim at ringside.
No Hillbilly Jim. And it's so crazy. I didn't notice until you said something. Like, and that's my bad. Shame on me, seriously, because I love Hillbilly Jim. What is it about it? Why do we love him so much?
Because there's something about Hillbilly Jim that like is just so like nurturing and warm and just I don't know what it is. He's just so like you expect him to teach you like life lessons, but also like make you like the right kind of man. I don't know. You know
what I mean?
He's
gonna take me fishing. Like he's gonna wake me up early on a Saturday morning, like mom's still asleep, and he's like, "Hey, let's go catch a trout. I'm gonna teach you how to catch a trout." And you're like out on the boat with Paul, and like you're like,
no, 100%.
But also he said something like so meaningful about like it's like a metaphor for like fish and like your way in the world or something, like salmon swimming upstream. I don't know. There's something there, and you're just like wiping.
He's like Iroh. Right?
Yes, wow, he really does give big Uncle Iroh energy. Amen.
100%.
Wow.
So
amen. We miss you, Hillbilly Jim. Also, I was gonna say because we got into the match, like everyone had made their entrances already, basically. Right. Well, like we got the tail end of Fake Razor and Diesel's whatever one. But I like really I missed the banjo intro for the
That's
Godwins.
What I'm saying.
Like, I get pop into that. Like the banjo.
It's so fun.
It goes off. So no, I didn't get any banjo intro, and I didn't get Hillbilly Jim or Farm Animals.
Dude, I'm telling you.
What we blew up the budget on the chorus later.
Honestly. So during this match, it was announced that next week we will be getting Bret Hart versus Razor Ramon. And I'm telling you right now, if any of the many enemies of Bret Hart are going to show up, it's going to be during this match. It has to be,
because like why would they like not to shit on Razor Ramon, but like why would they even do that match unless it was like meant to set up shenanigans?
That's what I'm saying.
More shenanigans, because like shenanigans. It's not a match you necessarily care about the outcome of.
No, they will shenan again.
They will shenan again. Okay, that's what I'm saying.
So during this match, there was many a joke about poor Phineas's mental acumen.
My God.
Were really laying it on thick. Ruthless. All three of them.
Tirelessly. And it's one of those things too where it's like sometimes like they go for just like a one hitter, and then other times it's like they all just like really dig in. Like Vince McMahon said something like he's not the brightest one on the team, and JR was basically like, yeah, he's the dumb one. He's stupid. He's a big brute, stupid brute. And like you're like,
okay.
And then the king was like, yeah, like he's whatever. He said something crass and horrible, I'm sure. But like it just like they just all kept going, and we were like, okay. Like, we got it. My God.
Like I know who you're trying to plant in my head, and I see him. I get it.
I see the character. I got it.
Right. 100%. I was like, no, think, just do. Understand. Got
it. Be strong, pick things up, put them down. We get it. Thank you.
Right. So during this match, JR is asked by Vince McMahon on the performance of Razor and Diesel thus far since them debuting, returning, however we're going to phrase this. And he basically just goes like, I have mixed emotions. Like last night's loss left me empty. Empty?
Like So
like, is he writing in his diary? What is this?
So withering and dramatic, which is normally my flavor, but I just was like, please.
You do not get to spend 2 months shoving these people down our throats.
Oh.
And then all of a sudden, at the first sign of like just any adversity, I don't know. I feel empty.
Just a turncoat.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, just so, like, way to stand by your man. Like, way
so no, really though, stand by your man, seriously. Like, you've been riding their ass for months and just defending them at every opportunity, hollering here, there, around the square, like Frosty the freaking Snowman.
Oh my God.
And now suddenly you're just like, I don't know.
I'm a little disappointed. You're like,
embarrassing.
Ew.
Embarrassing.
Ew. I was like, where's your spine? Where's your
spine? Pick it up. My God.
Ugh.
Like, and do I like them?
No, not
Listen,
at all.
We're on the same page, but also, like,
shut up.
I have no self-respect. You brought 100%. Them here. This was your idea.
That's what I'm saying.
Embarrassing.
No, hated that. The conclusion of this match sees Diesel sneaking into the ring while the referee's back is turned and delivering a powerbomb to Phineas. And every time that he delivers a powerbomb to Phineas, I really think it's going to be Phineas's last day on Earth. I don't know why this man keeps doing this, because he barely picks Phineas up enough to drop him and actually like complete the move. He looks like he's actually just gonna let him go, and all 300 pounds of Phineas are gonna come cracking down on his neck. Like, it looks horrible every time.
It looks horrible, it sounds horrible, and we like hold our breath every time. Like
every time. So then he kind of just like slaps Razor Ramon like tells him to pay attention and like get the pin, and the referee doesn't see any of this, and that's how Razor Ramon picks up the victory for Team Fake Razor and Diesel.
Yeah, I like really can't wait for Diesel to not be Diesel.
Oh, I know it's coming at some point in the next year, but
I know the transformation is coming. It's just like, and like I don't know if this was like, this is the beginning of the end, or like the beginning of like sowing the seeds of discord, because like suddenly like JR is like distancing himself from them. And he's like, oh, they leave me empty inside. Like, okay, a lot of men do. So
what do you want? Like a cookie?
What a thesis statement. But like, and then at the beginning, there was like a weird thing that they've never shown before, because Razor always comes out in this like little vest and then like 100 gold chains for some reason. And he like they made like a big show of like showing him taking off the chains and just giving them to some whoever, like who takes the
How do I get that job? I don't know.
So we're just like, I'll take the
professional ring bearer. I don't know.
Yeah, like like walking up and down the aisle with everyone's precious belongings.
Right.
But like, and made it kind of like a scene of him being like getting in the guy's face and being like, "Gotta take care of my chains," or whatever.
It's worth more than your life. Like,
and Diesel's like slapping him on the shoulder, like, "Come on, man, like we got a match." And then later, like when he's like, "Get the pin," I was like, "Is this it? Like, is this the sprinkles, the seasonings, the intuition,
God, I hope so,
on the breeze of a separation?" Because we talk about how Diesel is such a good wrestler, but I just like hate the package he's in. It's like,
it's not
again, we're beating a dead horse, but like it's not it. And I'm ready to see the next episode.
Right. For sure. I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
So that leads us into our next segment, which is a promo from our world heavyweight champion, Sycho Sid.
Which was a jump scare.
That man really turned up the crazy on this one. He was on some next level loony bin nonsense.
Like crazy loony bin.
No, like your like stereotypical, just every movie you've ever thought of, loony bin. American
Horror Story, Asylum, loony bin, just escaped. Like,
the promo starts, and before anybody says a word, this man is just laughing to himself. Just laughing, just standing there, all 900 feet of him laughing. And it is creepy. It's weird.
And he like laughs with his like like his eyes like crinkled shut. Like I can't even.
Right.
It's just so like you're just like like I just hate it.
Right, like as if like every word like hurts a little bit. Like,
but he likes it.
what?
Like,
Yeah, like I don't know. It's so weird, and the whole time he like looks like he's in like a trance. Like he's
yes.
speaking, and he probably like means it, but like he's not actively making the decision to speak. You know what I mean?
Like it's like just coming through him. Like I don't know.
Right, and all
It
the
was crazy.
while, the man is just spitting all over the camera, all over the camera. Like every drip drop was caught on the camera, and it was just so distracting because that like the picture just starts getting blurrier.
Yeah, because it's just spittle.
It's just spittle, just everywhere, and you're just like, that's so distracting.
At one point, I was like, I feel like I should be wiping my face because like it was almost like a 5D experience. I was like, I feel like I'm getting
100%. I'm at the Shrek ride at Universal. Like it's a mess.
Or
like,
the Honey I Shrunk the Kids ride at Disney. You're just like,
so basically the gist of the promo is that he's going to go into Shawn Michaels and Jose Lothario's backyard, and the victory for him is going to be beating them right there in front of everybody they know and love. And then he has a message for Jose where he was basically just like, didn't you learn? Like, what?
Don't come.
Like, don't come. Like, I don't know what you think is going to be different this time than last time. Like,
which is crazy because like I know that it's important to the story that like Jose is there, but it's also like suddenly we're just like threatening the coach. Like I don't know. It's just like
right.
I get it, but like it's also like, don't come, Jose. It's like your match is against Shawn. Like I get it. I know why it is the way it is, but it's just like kind of funny where it's like, Jose, stay home. And this 65-year-old man is like, what?
Right. I was like, okay, you're just gonna so what, you're actively going after this old man? Like that, that is what you're telling the world right now?
Like, okay.
So that's going to be that on that. The match that they're going to have at the Royal Rumble is going to be insane. And any number of the participants who are just out here fighting each other, Bret, Stone Cold, Bulldog, we don't know who's going to show up, but I
did not even think of that.
Highly
chaos.
Doubt that this is going to be like a bell to bell without anything happening. There's too many moving parts for that to happen.
Yeah.
In our next match, it had tag team action with Doug Furnas and Philip LaFawn, who have been on a roll. They are currently undefeated, taking on TL Hopper, the wrestling plumber, and the debuting Dr. X, who looks like you got like 5 minutes into like a create your own character on a wrestling game and then just stopped.
Wow. You are correct.
Just stopped. Just
gave up. You're like, I just want to play the game. Like, I don't want to get into the design.
Right, of all of this.
Wow. He also looked like the actual physical embodiment of Chemical X that like makes the Powerpuff Girls. Like when he's like pouring it into and I was like, Dr. X, like he's Chemical X. Like he made Sugar Spice everything nice.
Oh, love that. So but this was the first time we've seen him, so
yeah. Don't know nothing about him.
I don't know nothing. Not that because we didn't even get an entrance. The man was already in the ring.
And they were like, it's Dr. X. And we were like,
who?
Who's that? Who is
because that? Before this match started, we got a kind of reply promo from Shawn Michaels, who had a lot to say about.
He had a lot to say.
Yeah, he had a lot to say about Sycho Sid and what was going on. Essentially, he makes a point of, calling out that Jose Lothario is going to be there. It's a big deal. Mm-hmm. He is a focal point to their feud, I guess.
Right.
I mean, like it is the real beef.
Right, because Shawn Michaels said that. Yeah, he was like, I can I don't cry over spilled milk. It's more about losing the match meaning. And then, but he was like, but what you did to Jose Lothario is like actually why I have a problem with you.
Right.
So that makes sense.
Which makes sense. And then there was many a dig at Bret Hart. Basically, was like, I'm not gonna whine and complain and make excuses. And at the end of this promo, he really hammers it home where it's just like, you can have whatever problem you want to have with me, but you're never going to be me. You're never going to have the reaction that I get. You're never going to be able to do what I do in this. Like, it was just like, I don't want to hear it. Like, you can say whatever you want. I'm not impressed.
That don't impress me much.
Literally, he said, it gives just very, you got what you got, Bret. Sorry.
Yeah, moving you got on. What you get and you don't get upset.
So, at this point, he calls out Bret Hart for wearing tights to do commentary, and I thought that shit was so funny.
So funny. He was like, listen, if you want to wear your tights to do commentary, oh, you're a wrestler 24/7. Wow. Like, he said something almost like that, and it was like such a... It's those types of digs where it's like, you didn't really think about it, but now that he said it, you're like, that was kind of weird.
Right.
Like, you're like, no, actually, that's really hysterical. When, like, those little observations that you didn't really, like, think about, and then he's like, oh, he's watching you. He is clocking you.
Right.
That is crazy.
That's hilarious. And it's just so funny. Good. He's just so
Because then he just went like, whatever, and like flipped his hair and was like, bye, interview over, bye. Like, so good.
The reason the match cuts to in progress, like no entrance, is because of that promo. So we see the match already going. TL Hopper, for some reason, is just wearing... Go ahead, Kelsey. I'll let you take this one because it is hilarious.
It was... Okay, so TL Hopper, as you guys know, is the wrestling plumber. And instead of wearing his usual, like, low-rise jeans butt crack situation and the wife beater we've come to know and sort of love is a strong word, but whatever. He was wearing tights very akin to, like, early 2000s Victoria's Secret, like, leggings that had, like, the fold over, and then the back would say, like, love, or, like, whatever. But it's like, he's wearing tights, and then when he turned around, the back just said, like, the plumbing business, like TL Hopper plumber, this address, like legit a bumper sticker or like a business card, but like on his butt, like a la Juicy Couture. Like,
no, it was so funny. Like, you just couldn't
shocking.
Get up. You half expect them to just like turn around and just be like,
yeah.
I was like, I need customers.
Swear to God. But also, and like, if you're gonna do that, okay, fine. But then he also had it printed on the back of the wife beater. Like, you could not. No, he was like, you're not gonna miss this.
No. He said walking billboard.
Walking billboard, free promotion right here.
He's like the 1996 edition of like the Wawa Has Pizza like ad that is just everywhere. Yes. I literally thought it was just me because I live in the Philadelphia area that I was getting like just bombarded with. No, it's just everywhere. And that's everywhere. His marketing. He says, I'm going to be on TV once every like 2 months. I'm going to put my name on everything, like everything.
I kind of respect it. I just didn't expect it on your butt. Like, I was unprepared as the wrestling plumber to see you in little black leggings. Like, at this point, put on the UGG boots and the oversized sweatshirt. Like, you could go to high school with me. Like,
I love that. Our high school was very much like a who could come to school like the laziest.
Yeah. And, like, without it. If you put in effort, you were a freak of nature.
100%. And I think that's just so opposite of what is like so stereotypical of most high school situations.
It's completely now it's completely flipped. It's like, if you are not put together, like if you showed up in anything other than sweatpants or leggings in high school, like, for us, try hard, get a grip, teacher's pet, freak of nature. Like, what are you getting dressed for? But also, no, really though, it's 8 a.m. Like, you don't have to. Why are you wearing a dress? Stop.
Yeah. No one's paying you to be anywhere. So
swear.
So Furnace and LaFawn pick up the victory. They're very impressive. They're very athletic. Their suplexes are crazy. Like, their teamwork is impeccable. Apparently, they've been a team for 8 years, and they were working in Japan.
It shows.
So, I had a feeling from how well they wrestled from their first match that they had been a team for a minute, but we just had never seen them. So this was getting some more backstory on who these people are is nice.
Yeah, I still don't think we've ever heard them say anything.
No, because they're always just like in the ring.
Which, I'm gonna be honest, like, normally that annoys me, like a la Executioner, like how irritating it makes me that we know nothing about him. But for some reason with them, it's like it adds to the mysterious like appeal of them. Like I just
Mm-hmm.
love them. Like they're so good. They could both get it. And like I just think they're just such a good team. And
Uh,
though is it Philip LaFawn who no, it was Doug Furness who was suplexing people at the speed of light. Like so fast.
at
like
the
literally
of light.
speed of light. Like if you blinked, you missed it, and the smack was so resounding. I thought like
Mm-hmm.
clavicles were broken. Like he was so fast, it was shocking.
Right. No, 100%.
Like just
100%.
flipping people,
Mm.
flipping the plumber in his Juicy Couture leggings.
So Philip LaFawn and Doug Furness remain undefeated, and
Billy and Zuck.
they're getting a lot of praise from the commentary team. So
Yeah.
we'll see where that goes. We'll see if they're going to make their way up to the titles at some point. I would like to see it. I think
I would love to see
even
it.
if they don't win, I feel like it would just be a good match.
Yeah, because honestly, now that you say that, it's like the tag team
Division?
situation is a little like I don't want to say it's
Lackluster.
tired. Yeah, it's like
It's a little lackluster.
It's a little lackluster right now because like it's just it's
there's
the same
not
people.
a lot exactly. There's not a lot of strong teams.
Right.
And tag teams aren't really going to be the tag team division doesn't get super strong until a little like further down the line, like another year or so. So
okay. Yeah, we need a little...
And even then, I feel like it might be longer. It might be like 1998. So
yeah, so I would love a little like zest.
I know. I think we just need more established teams and more teams that feel less just kind of like thrown together. Yeah.
100%. Because like TL Hopper and Dr. X, what are we doing?
Who?
It's like the only reason that would make sense is like if Dr. X is the chemical you use to like unclog a drain.
Right. 100%.
That's all I got.
And call him Dr. Drano. Like I'm not like
call him Piqua. I don't know.
So after that match, we cut to a promo from Billy Gunn because he's going to be in the main event, and it is basically the same tune that we've been hearing. He's been carrying the team. He's the top gun. Bart is just not as good as me. And that was kind of the gist.
And his outfit was horrid. Horrid. It was mostly the shirt. He was wearing some sort of heinous, like printed something. I don't even know how to describe it, but it was awful. And it was like it opened the interview with just like a close in on his face, and it was just like,
like,
jump scare.
Back up. I was like,
oh yeah, take it back.
Like a story about the wilderness. Like I'm very confused. So
like rare up close footage of like an endangered species. I don't know.
Anyway, so then we get the Karate Fighters final.
I don't think we even talked about this.
So no, we did very briefly. So during every episode of Monday Night Raw for the last, I want to say like 8 weeks.
8 weeks, yeah.
They've been doing a tournament with the Karate Fighters, which are like this toy that is the sponsor for a lot of events in the WWF. So it's been having personalities from the WWF and wrestlers compete and playing with these toys, and whoever stays on their little podium the longest wins, moves on to the next round. This has been going on for far too long. So they brought the finals to the ring, and it is going to be Jerry the King Lawler taking on Sable in the finals. Yeah. But Jerry takes umbrage with the fact that Mark Miro accompanies Sable, who looked amazing. By the way,
she looked amazing.
She had like this like leather like neck piece that like attached to her like cat suit this time.
Yeah, leather, shiny pleather cat suit with like the pointed like bustier part, which is so crazy because now that's a huge thing again, like to have like the pointed bustier.
Yeah.
Like because I was like, oh wow, that's like a thing again nowadays. But then like she had this huge like pleather shiny choker thing that like made a it was just so good. And her hair looked amazing, her makeup looked amazing. She looked absolutely fabulous.
Oh, it was fantastic. So Jerry takes umbrage with the fact that Mark Miro is out here and lets us know from the announce desk that Triple H has volunteered to watch his back so that Mark Miro doesn't get involved. And so then that happens, and then we get the most ridiculous commercial I have ever seen in my entire life. So it is, they were like, oh, let's cut to like Frank and Bob, whatever their names are,
this
who are
has
somewhere
also
in
been
the
going
arena.
on.
Yeah, who are like somewhere in the arena, and they're talking about the events of last night and how they had made like a bet, and then they like swap seats. He's like, I won like one seat closer to the Royal Rumble, and you're like, okay, whatever. And then the commercial goes black, and it the other guy who lost the bet just goes, "You're fat and pathetic, you know that, right?" And then it's it. That's it. That's the
and
whole
then like
commercial.
back to Karate Fighters, and Xavier and I were like, oh, what just
transpired?
happened?
Like, what just happened?
Because like I think since the last pay-per-view, it actually might have been before the last pay-per-view. Oh, it must have been, because the pay-per-view was literally yesterday. Okay, bye. But like since the pay-per-view before yesterday's, they've been doing this like promo for the Royal Rumble where two like average Joes wrestling fans are just sitting in the Alamo Dome, like waiting for the Royal Rumble. And they're like, we got to get here now to get the best seats in the house, even though you buy your seat and you like, that's your seat. It doesn't matter how early you get there, but whatever. And it's always been like, haha, funny, like banter, like playful, like, I think this is Sycho Sid Locker. Look how big his shoe is. Like, it's like funny. And then it got so dark so quick today where it just ended with a black screen and the one guy going, "You're fat and pathetic. You know that, right?" And we were like, oh my, what? Like, it's getting like, so dark over there.
I was not expecting that. First of all, like, I don't think much of those commercials, like, I like half listen to them. So it passes and I think like nothing of it. And then that happens and I'm like, what, one more time? Like,
it's like becoming The Shining over there. Like they're all alone. And so like things are and they're like, all work and no play makes Jack an adult boy. You're fat and pathetic, you know that, right? Like, oh, it was so out of pocket, out of line, tomfoolery from top to bottom this episode.
I'm telling you.
Commercials.
So it cuts back to the final, and they start, playing with their toys, and and Sable wins.
Duh.
And Jerry gets so upset. He grabs the mic. He starts like demanding a rematch.
Jerry's all over the place.
Right. He's like, whatever. He's like, you cheated. I need a rematch. I was like, you're playing with dolls. And so like Mark Miro starts getting into Jerry's face, which of course brings Triple H over. And then all of a sudden, Jerry and Triple H are beating down Mark Miro in the center of the ring. And then Goldust appears from the top and comes down because he's not done with Triple H yet. So he comes into the ring, trips Sable on the way in, which I don't know. I think was an accident. I really think it was an accident.
Literally took her legs out. Like she was like leaning on the rope, like screaming, like, no, get off him. And then
giving her best
Goldust runs in, slides under, and literally just like takes her out.
Oh, just no foots. Just knocks her on her ass.
I'm sorry, she was fine, so it was hysterical. Like,
yes,
I was like,
was so funny.
Oh my god!
So and then he slides in. He starts like beating on Triple H. He like tosses Triple H over the barricade, but Mark Miro like comes to and then starts chasing Triple H out of the building, so that Jerry and Goldust are left in the ring. And then Jerry grabs the mic and starts going on this like diatribe about how Triple H is a real man and he has money and like all these things. And I'm like, do you want him? Like, I'm so lost. And then he goes to Goldust and he's like, not that you're not a real man, but you're, aren't you? And Goldust does the best thing that you can do in that scenario, which is just go, what? Like, when someone's about to say some heinous shit and they don't want to say it, they want to like skirt around it, and he's just like, no, use the words, like, go ahead, ask me the question. And then all of a sudden he just goes queer, and then it's just like so awkward. And then Goldust just takes a moment, pauses, grabs the microphone, is just like, no, and then swings and decks Jerry right in the mouth, and he goes down. It was wild.
It was shocking, and it came so out of left field because I honestly had no idea what was going on, and I was like, he's what, like a weirdo, like whatever, and Xavier's like, it's not what he's trying to say, and I was like, what? And then he's like, aren't you? And then he's like, no, go ahead. And then he goes, here. And I was like, what? I like that again. Talk about things that you could not get away with today.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely
not.
It's
psychotic.
Right. And it's just like, it's just so funny because like a character like Goldust today, you'd still think like weird, but I feel like because we're living in 2023, like I wouldn't have assumed anything about his sexuality.
Never,
really.
I never even crossed my mind, to be so honest. And I'm not trying to be like on my high horse or anything. I just literally never thought about it. Like
no. And like the thing that's like hilarious is like he comes down to the ring with his wife every time.
Yeah.
Every time. Speaking of which, she comes down and she is in like essentially what looks like one of those like a lingerie cover. I want to look like made into a dress. Like it's just a little bit longer than like a lingerie cover. It gives that like Santa's little helper but gold,
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Like kind of slutty Mrs. Claus a little bit.
Yes, but gold. She comes
fur trimmed,
and he like takes her hand, is like kissing her hand, and I was
on his knees.
It was like just the cherry on top to that whole awkward like situation. And like I love it. I love the juxtaposition of him spending 4 minutes describing how much of a man some other man is, and then asking some other guy if he's gay. Like
no,
you know what I mean?
It's like do we need to have a discussion? Safe space.
No, 100%. I will say this now. I will say this forever. There is nothing gayer in public than a straight man.
Woo! Okay.
Listen, and it's only because they have the license to do so more so than I ever did growing up.
You're right. Because they're like, yeah, #no homo.
Literally, he just spent, I'm telling you, spent 3 minutes describing Triple H in great detail on what a catch he is. And then you have the gall to call somebody else gay.
Like what?
Right.
The unmitigated gall.
Right. It's the audacity. Wow. So then we cut to,
where do we go from there?
I'll tell you where we go from there. To the WWF Carolers. That's where we go from
you guys.
there.
Okay, seriously, this episode was so crazy. Every 5 minutes we were like, what is it?
What is going
But this
on?
was the most what is happening of this whole episode.
So it essentially, they're like, literally they go, oh, and now like to our WWF Carolers? Like they said it as a question, first of all. And then it cuts to a bunch of carolers singing about power bombs and like basically how Jose Lothario got his ass handed to him on a silver platter to the tune of O Tenenbaum. Why?
And like they hired like a professional choir because these people were like,
no,
like they had the embouchure.
It was 4-part harmonies.
They
had the choir robes. They were
chins up, like
right. 100%.
They were professionals. They wrote a whole new lyrical arrangement for this song and performed this ethereal track about power bombs over snowy footage of Jose Lothario getting his ass beat.
Literally, they're like, power bomb, power bomb. I was like, what is happening? I was like, okay. But like, it was a whole, and then they threw a music video together, essentially. Like
they dropped some of the budget on that one. I'm not upset. It was
just out of left field.
Out of left field.
I know it's like the holiday time. I get it. But like a wrestling choir was not on my bingo card. Like it just wasn't it wasn't gonna happen.
And how do we I have so many questions because it's like, okay, you get the choir. Are they like an actual church choir? Like, did you just like hire people and like put them together? who wrote the lyrics? Whose idea was this? How long
Why
did
was
the
Jesse J
production
left
take?
out?
What? Okay, no,
Jesse
really,
James
the
left
real
out?
questions. The real questions. Why was Double J left out? Because I'm sure he's feeling the heat.
Right, 100%. You're gonna drag him out here and make him sing every episode, but you can't throw him in the choir.
But then you're gonna hire the choir, leave him out. Okay.
100%. Although I cannot imagine the cackle that would have like erupted from me had they gone to let's go to the WWF Carolers and it's just Double J. Yes, like
it would have been the best if he like you don't see him at first and then he like comes out at the end with like some sort of like solo something. I would have lost my mind. Oh that my god. Great. Yeah.
And then you get the Funkettes.
Okay. See,
we had people to help with this.
Like, hello?
We didn't need to blow the budget on this choir.
The talent is right before you. It's right there.
Use your team.
Woo.
So
that was okay.
Yeah, the theme of this episode, that was all right.
Moving on.
So we get to our main event, which is Billy versus Bart Gunn, and they come out just looking like the same thing in two fonts. That's it.
Same thing in two fonts. I swear to God. And it's not even like two. It's not even like two word art fonts. It's like one is just italicized. Like
right.
It's
it's Times New Roman and like Times New Roman.
I did not know you could verbally articulate italics until just now. Times New Roman. So that's my Roman Empire.
I'm crying.
Oh my god.
Actually,
but it's so true. And like I know it's not like necessarily important, but like the fact that they just a little effort. You got a whole choir. You can't put Bart in a different shirt. Like,
right.
Come on. Get him new boots. It's Christmas. Like, come on. Give Tiny Tim some shoes.
Amen, dude.
Jesus.
Amen.
Like, it's just the same.
So,
fun.
Billy's the aggressor in this match. He comes out like swinging first. Bart doesn't even get to like take off his little vesty vest before his brother is all over him. They point out that the family is in attendance. Both of their wives and apparently Billy's children are also in attendance.
Yeah.
And the match is all of 4 minutes long, maybe. So what ends up happening is Bart ends up picking up Billy and like just hanging him over the top rope, and Billy lands with just such a thud and then doesn't move. Like he just is immobile. So
eyes just like wide open, just like
it was very scary.
Really scary.
So Billy's wife comes running from the crowd and you hear her interact with the referee. He's like, "What are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Like, what?" And he's like, "I'm his wife." Like,
because they call the match. Like they're like, "Match is done." Like something is wrong.
They look at his eyes. They immediately call for the bell. His wife comes rushing into the ring and all the while like Bart is like freaking out. Like he is noticeably like upset that like something has happened. So which is what makes me like be like, I don't know if this is what this is. Because
like if it was staged or real.
Right, because the match ended so abruptly, which makes me think like it wasn't. But the wives were in attendance, like just so happened to be in attendance, which is a little like funky for that sort of scenario. But I mean, maybe not if they were both going to be in the same match against each other. They probably were like, let's fly the fam out.
Yeah.
But it was just really jarring because
it was chilling.
He doesn't move the whole time. It looks like he got paralyzed. Like that's how like just uncomfortable he's like placed in the ring, or the way that he like landed. His legs are like behind, like kind of like curled up like behind him. His arms are like at his sides and like just not moving. So the match is called. They get a ambulance for Billy and take him out like on a stretcher, and that's how the episode ends. Like it is very uncomfortable. It's a very uncomfortable ending. minus the woman in the crowd, who, while all of this is happening, mind you, like there is
this is so
possibly
crazy.
a man like seriously
Paralyzed
injured in the ring, and she just goes, "Where's the Undertaker?" And you're just like, what? She just goes, "Where's the Undertaker?" As if like,
which like normally,
yeah,
same.
sure,
but like I had chills covering my body. I was so freaked out because I was like, is this staged? Is this real? Like, did he seriously just get paralyzed? But like at the same time, I'm like, I don't know if like, because again, we're watching this. This took place 20 years ago. Right. Like, I'm assuming if he was paralyzed on air, they probably wouldn't show it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't be an episode. And like the fact that the wives were there, I was like, okay, like maybe this was, but if it was staged, which I'm hoping it was, they did such a good job of portraying that it was not, that I was like, covered head to toe chills, like freaking out. I was like, because he was just like there, like eyes open, and he was like, I can't feel anything. And then this woman just snaps the tension. She just goes, "Where's the Undertaker?"
You're just like,
and I was like, okay.
I was like, what, to take his body? Like what?
Yeah, like what, to like summon him, or like get the druids out here, pick him up. Like, I don't know. But it was again, sometimes I'm like, maybe or I had that moment where I was like, maybe it was staged because the paramedics again take an inordinate amount of time to get out there.
Right.
Where if like I feel like it was a real crisis, they would be like there.
Right. 100%.
Because I think of Ahmed Johnson all the time. Like, now he's my reference point, because that match like ended in medias res. Like, they were still fighting almost, and like it just like, okay, so like the show just ended.
Right.
And then you found out afterwards that he like needed emergency surgery, ruptured kidney. Like it felt more like frantic.
Right.
And not that this wasn't frantic, because the wife is screaming, the sister-in-law is there.
No, but I think because of like the stillness of Billy, it just like it just gives you like,
it unnerved you.
Right.
You're just like, oh my God, like what? Because and again, like it's so weird because it's that thing where like it adds such an element to this story, but it's also such an uncomfortable thing to do.
Right.
Like to almost like not joke, but like fake that is like crazy. Like it's like, and I get, because it's the brother. Like, what if I paralyze my own brother because of this stupid beef we have over like some woman that didn't even show up to the match, by the way? Like Sunny, I thought would have at least shown up.
Right.
Like, and then so like it adds such a like a depth to the story, but it's also like kind of uncomfortable that we're like playing with the idea that like someone could have paralyzed his own brother while his wife and children were in the audience.
Right.
Like it's like wild.
No, 100%. It just that's it. That's how the episode ends. So we're left with many more questions than answers. There's a whole lot going on, and everyone in this episode was out of pocket. Just completely ludicrous. All right, guys. So that has been another edition of the New to Wrestling podcast, and we will catch you next week.
We'll see you there.
Bye.